Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Malikicowtipper going to bring you another game of StarCraft 2, and today my opponent is DeepBlue. I can tell you where I wish I was right now. I wish I was in the Deep Blue Ocean. It is quite hot here in Wisconsin, and you know, I'm sitting here, I'm enjoying a Mountain Dew throwback. I've got some double stuffed Oreos and Miller High Life, about 70 of them, if I need to, you know, just kind of really kick back and get my lax on. But that is not the case today, as I'm going to bring you some excellent games of StarCraft 2. Well, at least I consider them to be excellent anyway. So, this game is on Cloud Kingdom? Yeah, Cloud Kingdom. And I'm Malikicowtipper. I'm spawning as the Red Zerg in the upper position, and Deep Blue is spawning as Brotoss in the lower position. So, for this map, kind of when I come into a map on Cloud Kingdom, the first thing that goes through my mind is I need to scout and see what type of build they're going for, particularly with Brotoss. You see pylons right about there. Closer to your audio. Not where it needs to be. There we go. And then you'll typically see something like maybe a gateway, a cyber core, kind of a wall off here into a 4-gate. That's my preferred one. That's what I like to see because I feel as though it makes my life a little bit easier. Otherwise, you'll see a pylon kind of right here, maybe more about here, and then you'll see your gateway, your cyber core, your zealot, kind of like that. And that, you know, when you see that, that basically means that the Brotoss is going to do some type of fast expand, and you're probably going to be in for a little bit more of a macro game unless you do something neat, like build a Nautilus right up here, get some Hydras all up in the base, and take them out that way. That's always wicked fun to do. Otherwise, for myself, when I scout this, I'm going to think, very cool, makes me feel really good about going fast expand myself, which is what I wanted to do, and I've been experimenting around with a little bit of a newer build, and I gotta say that I really like it. And what I've been doing, same as before, I will build the 16 workers, and then on the 16th worker I will take my expansion, I will then build the 16 workers again, and then I will get my spawning pool, build the 16 workers, and get my gas. And it ends up delaying your pool and your gas structure by about 10 to 12 seconds, depending on the larva timings, but getting those extra workers out without taking my count all the way down to 13 workers and keeping it high like that just does wonders for my economy. And I watched a replay where some Zerg just had so many speedlings up in my base, you know, at once, and took a look at the replay and saw him do the build, figured I'd give it a shot, and I found out that I did like it quite a bit, actually. So this is rather annoying right here, where you have a probe that's deciding just to, you know, go melee all up on your expansion, and he doesn't stand a chance at killing it by no stretch of the imagination, but it will then spawn with about 25 to 30% of its health gone, and that can be rather annoying, just because if they plan on making a push on your base, which if they go gateway, cyber core, and then try to go for more gateways, that's clearly what they're trying to do. Now, when I saw this second assimilator, I did possibly think that he would go for a fast Stargate. Normally, if they're doing a 4-gate push, you do not see the second gas coming out right away, and he very well could do that because he is delaying tech, he isn't laying down anything too crazy, and we'll actually be noticing that the first unit that he gets out is a Stalker, once he has enough gas for it. And I think the Stalker is specifically to get rid of the drone, or to stop any overlords from poking into his base, just because I'm assuming that he wants to hide some type of tech, and well, that's just kind of how he's going. So we can see I'm actually just getting my first gas right now, and on a lot of Brotoss games I've been running a delayed gas just to boost my mineral income, and I'll throw my drones on there just long enough to get my 100 gas that I need for speed, and then take them off for just a little bit longer. Again, just trying to keep the minerals up and running, that way you can get those queens out quicker, you can just pump drones, you know, just get as many drones out as possible. So right here, another thing that I've started doing, and I know a lot of people do this, so I'm by no means creative, but normally speaking, I never send out, you know, more than 2 scouting Zerglings, but I've been starting to send out 4 to 6, just because you never really quite know what these guys are going to find, and when there's, you know, this many of them, they can deal with a Zealot, they can deal with a Stalker, they just have a little bit more effectiveness. If we check this out, this Stalker did manage to kill my drone, so now he's free to lay down whatever tech he pleases, and it's just another gateway, so I'm not quite sure what's going on with that. We can see that Warp Gates is being researched, but he actually used a lot of his chrono boost on getting the Stalker out, but these Zerglings are actually going to be able to catch the Stalker out in the open, and 4 Zerglings will do a lot of work very, very quickly against the Stalker. The probes even get in there trying to help them, but 2 Zerglings live, they're able to kill the probe. Awesome win for me, and I'm actually just going to start doing work on this hatchery, and when I realize, Nexus. And when I realize that the base is pretty much exposed, making the sentry waste some of his energy right out from the beginning, I'm just going to shoot out a lot of Zerglings. My speed is about halfway done, but it won't be done in time for this. If I would have gotten an earlier speed, ironically enough, these guys would already be over at the base doing a lot more damage. But what's going to happen here is I'm going to force him to produce more attacking units than he might have wanted to, and possibly to send them out and also to get them killed. Because I have enough Zerglings here where I can do one of two things. I can force a cancel on this Nexus, or if I can get even luckier, I can get these Zerglings inside of the base. And if I can do that, it's almost going to be GG for him. And I wanted to wait just a second longer. I really shouldn't have, because I could have gotten the Zerglings in and I could have separated those Zealots. But we can see that I'm going to force a cancel. That's 100 minerals that he's down right away right there. And even though I have committed quite a few Zerglings to this, I have 2 bases up. He doesn't. And now, as long as I play my cards right, I will stop making Zerglings, and I will drone behind this, and I will just get a huge 8-drone lead in my economy. And every second that I'm delaying this expansion is messing with this build, because he doesn't have enough gateways to do a push against me. He's getting more tech, which, you know, at this point, he basically just needs to dump his money. He doesn't do him any good to sit on it with this few structures. He just won't be able to spend it effectively, and realistically, if I can catch these units out in the open, again, just stopping that expansion. It's 8 minutes in. He doesn't have his second expansion up. I'm now taking my third expansion. I could have gotten it earlier had I not committed so many to Zerglings, but we can see I'm just going to continue to drone up. And I was able to get in here and to kill one of the Zealots, but realistically, that wall's just too tight with the sentry there. It's just not going to be too good of an idea, and at this point, if I continue to do that, I'm just going to be throwing units at him. We can see that I've lost a little bit more than he has, but every single one of those units has been worth it, because this Nexus would already be up and running and mining if it wasn't for that. So he's going to get one more kill, and I think I'm going to take these little buggers home. It's time for that. So for myself, now that I feel I have a good lead and I have map control, I need to do a few things. One, I need to secure my advantage. So I'm going to Lair Tech. I'm getting a Roach Warren down in case he decides to push out, which realistically, when I saw this ball of troops that was coming up here, I'm glad I have that Roach Warren, because if he decides to make kind of like a clutch push across the map, I want to be able to deal with it. So I have 2 Evo Chambers coming down. I'll probably lay down a Spine Crawler here and here, maybe here, just because it's awesome. And I also have a second Queen out, designated for pooping creep. So getting map control and having your creep usually up to the mid-ground, if not further, is absolutely essential for Zerg, because there's 3 attack paths on this, and realistically, if you don't control it, you can be outflanked and outmaneuvered, and you'll find that your late-game army, you know, Infestors and Broodlords, they're just so slow off a creep, particularly the Infestors, and you won't know where they're coming from. You'll just find that, oh, I'm getting hit here, cool, my army's there, and they're gone. And then I'm getting hit here, oh, and their army's gone. And then they come in here and take out this base, and they're gone by the time you get there. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit. We'll go back to the production tab, but that's essentially what it feels like. So right now, my thinking is that maybe if I'm lucky, I can get a Nidus Worm into the base, and I can dump in 20 or 30 roaches, kill some tech, kill a lot of workers, and just set him even further behind. So I'm really in harass mode in this game, which is why I'm getting upgrades for roaches. Normally I skip those, and I usually only use roaches in, you know, game of Brotoss if I know that I'm going to get heavy 4-gated, but I use them as a stepping stone, and usually I will not get the attack upgrade for them, just because I intend to transition out of them and go to Infestor Broodlord Ling later on in the game. But I figure it's worth the 100 gas, 100 mineral if I plan to make a big push with these roaches, or if I want them to comprise kind of a bulk of my army. We can see that he has a decent wall here. It's nothing that actually half a dozen banelings wouldn't do a lot of damage to, but I really don't intend to blow up the front of his map. We can see my creep spread. Once you get a few creep tumors out, it's almost exponential just how quick this stuff starts to spread, and we can see I'm getting my third base finally up and saturated, 61 over 36. So at this point, you're going to start to see me take a significant food lead over the Brotoss, and that's simply because he's doing right now what he wanted to do about 4 minutes ago in the game. He was just delayed that much. Guys, excuse me one moment. This is Mountain Dew time. There's just something fantastic about Mountain Dew Throwback. I couldn't quite tell you what it is, but it is fantastic. And taking a look at the Brotoss base, he's now starting to detect a Colossus, and he's going to try to put together, you know, a little bit of a Brotoss death ball. I would say myself that I wouldn't be mixing units and probes. I would have, you know, taken maybe just a minute to just do a solid drone up, and just to get a lot of probes, and that's the Zerg talking in me. But as a Protoss with, you know, some sentries, some zealots, and stalkers, I would feel fairly comfortable that this wall is going to hold, and every second that, you know, he doesn't get his income exactly where it needs to be is more time that he's actually delaying, you know, getting to max army. So that's one thing that as a Zerg player, if you don't learn to do that, if you don't just learn to hit that D key, you know, even though you want to make troops, you need to make those drones, because if you don't have the economy, you just simply will not win. And we can see right here that I'm achieving good saturation on my minerals. I have more money than I could hope to spend right now. Well, I won't say that, but I don't even have a macro hatch, and that's probably why I'm sitting on so much money right now. We check out upgrades. I'm getting ground level 1 and ground armor level 2. And the reason I'm going for the ground attack level 1 is I want to, again, transition into Broodlords, so I want to start upgrading Zerglings, which do a lot of damage once they're upgraded, and that'll transition into my Broodlings as well. So these Overlords over here giving me really good map control. Just I like having them over here along with the Overseer, because I can get a good idea of this Protoss Death Ball, and we can see that I'm just spamming roaches like absolute craziness. I'm up 156 over 96 for the food count. My creep is reaching the halfway point through the map, and I'm just now taking a 4th base, and realistically, that 4th base really should just be for gas and have a queen on it to get larva. I need a macro hatchery so bad. I could actually use to pull a few of these drones. I may not need this many for minerals, but you know what? You'll find something to spend it on later. So there we go. We can see I have a lot of infestors. They have their pathogen glands getting up a good amount of energy. This observer's here, and I'm going to notice this observer in a few seconds and drop some fungals on it. I don't know if it's worth the 2 fungals it takes. God, infestors are gross. To kill the observer, but you know what? Then he has to build a new one. The energy was free to me, and then he doesn't get to see what my army's up to, and that should just make him feel very uncomfortable. Oh, yep. That must hurt. It's like pooping on him. How much does fungal growth do anyway? 40 versus armor over 4 seconds. And we can see that we have a little engagement coming in here. Then I realize that just attacking into this wall with this army composition is just going to be feeding him kills. It's going to put him ahead and help even out the food count, and that's the last thing that I need right now. If we check out the units, he has 2 Colossus, 7 Stalkers, 10 Zealots, and 2 Immortals. So he has a fairly decent composition to deal with what I have. We check out the production tab. My hive is on the way, and my spire is being built as well. So I'm going to transition out of this and go into Broodlord Infestor Ling. That's exactly where I want to be, because that's going to be, if I pick this place to engage, which I will, I'll go here for one reason. If a Stalker, you know, the main part of his army, particularly his Zealots, because they don't have Blink or anything, you know, snazzy like that, they won't be able to engage until I destroy this entire wall. So this wall is good for keeping me in, but it's also going to keep him in. We can see he has some flank Stalkers down here, which is kind of neat. And let's just see if my Changeling can get in. He's going to be so lucky. Oh, hey guys, what's up? I'm a Changeling, just kind of chilling. And he's going to move over here. Come on, come on, come on. Let's get into the army. I want to see everything. And yes, perfect. So now I have excellent map vision on the enemy. I know exactly what I'm dealing with here, and that's just going to make me feel absolutely fantastic once I start to get out a lot of Corruptors. And right here you'll see that I'm actually going to send in this pack of Zerglings, because I need to free up food. I'm at 200 out of 200. We go to the units. I have 9 Corruptors out in the field, but I cannot make any Broodlords out of them. And realistically, these Zerglings are just not going to get very many kills. Maybe 1 or 2. There we go. And that's okay, because I needed the food. So we will now see, in the production tab, Creep Tumors, which are cool. Upgrader Spire almost finishing. Okay, I see what I'm doing. And then as soon as this guy finishes, I will be going to the Broodlords, which are super neat. And one thing that I will say is I'm missing hotkeys in this game. I'm doing a really bad job at actually managing my micro. I said I do not have a macro hatch. I have a queen with 160 energy. I've got a 200 out of 200 energy. I've got a 125. Probably the only queen that has, yeah, my pooping creep queen has just as much energy as my hatchery queen. So that's just really not cool. I mean, as far as it goes, I can be a little lazier in this game, but, you know, against a better player, that definitely would hurt me. I'm just not doing a good job at injecting my larva, but not that it necessarily matters. I'm at 200 out of 200, and I have so much money bank, so he is pushing out through the middle, and what's going to happen here is he's going to run. My Broodlords are going to attack, and he's going to fall back. This composition is almost the absolute last thing that you want against this type of army, because I can fungal growth you as you try to move in. I have roaches, which will actually absorb a lot of the damage with their 3 armor. It's not that Colossus do bad against them, but it takes 5 or 6 Colossus beams to kill 1 roach. And we can see right here that there's just not much he can do. These Stalkers do not have Blink, so he really needs to wait for this entire wall to die, and we can see that he's going to try to do a counterattack from behind, and I do like this, but the problem is I'm going to see this with my creep, you know, quite a bit before that even comes in. And what I'm going to do is I have this army separated so I can attack, and I did let them get a little closer than I wanted to, but Roach is just going to do a lot of work against those guys. And with the Infestors, after I fungal growth them, I'm going to drop down more infested Terran than you can shake a stick at. And I figure, you know what, they're free. I have lost quite a few Infestors, which stinks, they're very expensive, but all of these infested Terran here are just free units that are just going to do a lot of damage and help me clean this up with my Broodlords, and these Roaches over here can just continue to do work against these Stalkers, and I am going to keep that Broodlord. That is cool. And this base is most certainly going to fall. There is nothing left here. And if we check out the production, I have 13 Roaches, 10 Zerglings, 10 Infestors, Ground Armor level 3, Melee Attack level 2. I really should be getting Adrenal Glands. I have no idea why I'm not getting Adrenal Glands. Maybe because I don't have too many Zerglings out on the field. I'm not sure. Do Adrenal Glands affect the speed? Nope, it doesn't look like they affect the speed of Broodlings. That's too bad. I wish they did. But we can see here that he's actually making a little counter push, and this Void Ray is actually just going to do a really good job at killing my Broodlords. And we can see my Infestors do not have enough energy right now for a fungal growth. They could drop down a few infested Terran, but now that I have Corruptors in here, the Void Ray must retreat and admit that he's just not cool enough to hang out with the big kids. And this is just so crazy that I have almost 7,000 money saved, but I just do not have enough gas. And this is kind of where my, you know, this is bad micro on my part. I'm just doing a very, very bad job at that. I should have this expansion, I should have this expansion, I should have this expansion. Just the entire map should be mine. I should have Creeper Vision over here, and I should be able to remax this army and get the unit composition I need a lot quicker. We can see that I have a lot of Corruptors. I've got almost 12 of them, but I only have 4 Broodlords just because I could not afford to remake them. We can see that I do have enough money right now to do it, but I think I just kind of got lazy at this point. I felt like I could taste victory, and you know, just definitely got complacent, but you know, that's not so much of an issue. Yeah, well, that poor Broodlord, he is going to go down. DeepBlue will GG out of this game, and everything dies in explosions. So, the reason this game's coming up on YouTube is it just kind of shows how one little thing, sending out 4 Zerglings to check out the base, can, you know, spiral downhill for the opponent. Those 4 Zerglings killed his first Stalker. He lost his map control, he was forced to cancel his Nexus, and then he went about the next 4 minutes without being able to do anything about it whatsoever. And because of that, his economy was bad the entire game. He had 5 gateways, which is not a lot of production facilities. 6 gateways, sorry. 1 Robo facility, double Forge, you know, Templar Archives, Stargate. There's just kind of a lot of tech all over the place, and I feel it was just kind of a responsive, well, I'll build this because I don't really quite know what else to do because I can't expand. And that's the moment where if you have the game kind of locked down like that, you just do not want to throw it away by, you know, applying too much pressure, or in my case, by having very bad macro. I very well could have lost this game because of just very bad time management skills on my part. 200 out of 200, 200 out of 200. So, for all my viewers, I will attempt to get better at this. No promises. Thank you for watching. This is Malikicowtipper signing out.